Right now, your stomach is talking to your brain, not with words, not with thoughts, with chemicals, signals, and 100 million nerve cells you never knew you had. You feel it as a mood, a flutter of anxiety before a big moment, a wave of calm after a good meal. But the real answer inside your cells is far stranger. You were taught that your brain runs the show. One command center, sending orders down through your spine, out to the rest of your body. Simple, clean, mostly wrong. Because tucked inside the lining of your gut is a second nervous system. Scientists call it the enteric nervous system. It contains more neurons than your entire spinal cord. It can sense, decide, and react without asking your brain for permission at all. Feel that tightness in your stomach before a hard conversation? That's not your brain reaching down into your gut. That's your gut reacting on its own, using its own nervous system, built from its own logic. Why does your body need a second brain in the first place? Digestion is a battlefield. Every hour, your gut has to decide what to absorb, what to reject, what to move forward, and what to push out entirely. It has to detect toxins before they enter your bloodstream. It has to coordinate muscle contractions in perfect sequence, squeezing food along a tube that's nearly 30 feet long. Your main brain, sitting up in your skull, is too far away and too slow to manage that in real time. So evolution built a local command post, right there, embedded in the walls of your intestines. The physician who first mapped this system in detail was Dr. Michael Gershon, a researcher at Columbia University whose decades of work earned the enteric nervous system its now famous nickname, the second brain. His research showed that this network doesn't just relay signals. It generates them independently using many of the same neurotransmitters found in your skull. That includes serotonin, the same chemical linked to mood, focus, and emotional stability. Here's where it gets strange. Most people assume serotonin is a brain chemical, something made in your head shaping how you feel. But nearly 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in your gut, not your brain. 90%. Sit with that for a second. Your intestines are manufacturing the majority of the same molecule your brain uses to regulate happiness, calm, and emotional balance. Not as a leftover, not as a byproduct, as a primary production site. So when your gut is inflamed, irritated, or thrown off balance, it isn't just your digestion that suffers. Your entire chemical mood supply chain gets disrupted at the source. Is that why bad food can wreck more than just your stomach? Partly. But the connection runs even deeper than serotonin. Your gut and your brain are physically wired together through a single massive cable called the vagus nerve. It runs from your brainstem, down through your neck, into your chest, and directly into your abdomen. It's the longest cranial nerve in your body, and it carries traffic in both directions. Here's the part that surprises most people. The majority of that traffic doesn't flow from brain to gut. It flows from gut to brain. Roughly 80% of the signals traveling along the vagus nerve are your gut reporting upward, telling your brain what's happening down below. Your gut isn't just receiving instructions, it's constantly briefing your brain, in real time, on the state of your internal world. Dr. John Cryan, a neuroscientist at University College Cork, who has spent years studying this exact connection, has shown that the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines actively influence that signal. Your gut microbiome isn't a passive passenger. It's an active participant in shaping what gets reported to your brain, and in some cases, it appears to influence anxiety-like behavior itself. Trillions of microorganisms living inside a tube in your abdomen, quietly shaping how anxious, calm, or foggy you feel today. That should sound unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And it's also documented, repeatable science. Think about what this means for something as simple as a first date or a job interview. The nervous stomach you feel in that moment isn't a metaphor your brain invented to describe emotion. It's a literal, physical event. Your enteric nervous system detects rising stress hormones circulating through your blood. It responds by slowing digestion, redirecting blood flow away from your intestines, and firing distress signals up the vagus nerve. Your brain receives that signal and interprets it as nervousness, which then increases stress hormone release even further. The gut and the brain aren't taking turns. They're locked in a live feedback loop, each one amplifying the other in real time, faster than conscious thought can keep up. This is why breathing exercises work as well as they do. Slow, deep breathing directly stimulates the vagus nerve. That stimulation doesn't just calm your mind, it physically signals your gut to relax, to resume normal digestion, to stop broadcasting alarm signals upward. You're not just calming your thoughts. You're intervening in a two-way biological circuit, and you're doing it from the gut side without even realizing that's what's happening. So what happens when this system breaks down? Picture a stressful week. Poor sleep, rushed meals, constant tension. Your gut lining, which is normally tightly sealed, starts to loosen. Researchers call this increased intestinal permeability. Bits of bacterial material that should stay contained inside your gut begin leaking into your bloodstream. Your immune system panics. It launches an inflammatory response, releasing molecules meant to fight off invaders. Except there's no infection to fight, just leaked gut contents your body mistakes for a threat. That inflammation doesn't stay local. It travels. It reaches your brain, where it can interfere with mood-regulating pathways, contribute to brain fog, and in some studied cases, worsen symptoms of depression and anxiety. Your churning stomach during a stressful season isn't just discomfort. It may be the opening act of a chemical chain reaction that ends up altering how your brain itself functions. Doesn't that flip everything you thought you knew about mental health? Consider what happens in a condition doctors call irritable bowel syndrome. For years, it was dismissed as a stress problem, or worse, as something imagined. Patients were told to relax, to manage their nerves, as if the gut symptoms were simply a side effect of an anxious mind. But newer research tells a more complicated story. In many patients, the gut appears to be driving the anxiety just as much as the anxiety drives the gut. The relationship isn't one-directional. It's a loop, feeding back on itself, each side amplifying the other. That loop explains something you've probably felt but never had a name for. The way a stressful stretch of life seems to settle directly into your stomach. Not metaphorically, physically. Your gut lining thins, your motility changes, your bacterial populations shift within days. And every one of those shifts gets reported straight back up the vagus nerve, reinforcing the very stress that caused them. Your body isn't just reacting to your mood. In a very real sense, it's manufacturing it. For a long time, doctors treated the mind and the gut as two separate systems. One handled thoughts and emotions. The other handled digestion. Fix the brain with therapy or medication. Fix the gut with diet or antacids. Never the two shall meet. Dr. Emeran, a gastroenterologist and neuroscientist at UCLA, has spent his career challenging that division. His research on what's now called the gut-brain axis suggests the two systems are so intertwined that treating one without considering the other may be treating half the problem. That reframes something deeply personal. That knot in your stomach before a presentation. That craving for comfort food after a hard day. That unexplained irritability during a stretch of bad sleep. None of it is random. It's a live, ongoing conversation between trillions of bacteria, 100 million gut neurons, and the 3-pound organ inside your skull. What can you actually do with any of this? The bacteria living inside your gut aren't fixed. They shift based on what you feed them. A diet heavy in processed sugar tends to favor certain bacterial strains linked to inflammation. A diet rich in fiber, vegetables, and fermented foods tends to favor strains associated with lower inflammation and steadier mood regulation. You are, quite literally, cultivating a population of organisms every time you eat, and that population is whispering directly into your brain through the vagus nerve within hours. This doesn't mean a single meal will fix a mental health condition. It isn't that simple, and no serious researcher claims otherwise. But it does mean the old wall between digestive health and mental health was never as solid as it looked. Sleep deprivation alters gut bacteria within days. Chronic stress measurably shrinks microbial diversity. And in some studies, restoring that diversity through diet or targeted probiotics has been shown to ease mild anxiety symptoms, though scientists are still working out exactly which strains matter most and why. Here's the twist most people never expect. Your gut was arguably the original brain. In the earliest multicellular organisms, Before anything resembling a modern nervous system existed, clusters of nerve cells formed around the digestive tract first. The ability to sense food, sense danger, and coordinate a response began in the gut. The centralized brain, sitting protected inside a skull, came later in evolutionary history, layered on top of a system that was already doing the essential work of survival. Your skull brain isn't the origin of you. In a very real evolutionary sense, it's an addition. Your gut got there first. Think about that the next time someone tells you to trust your gut. That phrase has existed in nearly every language and culture for centuries, long before anyone understood neurons, neurotransmitters, or the vagus nerve. People felt this connection intuitively, generations before science could explain it. They noticed that emotional decisions, hard choices, and moments of danger all seemed to register somewhere below the chest before the mind caught up. It turns out that instinct was tracking something real. 100 million neurons wired directly into your decision-making process, reporting upward before your conscious thoughts even finish forming. Modern medicine is only now catching up to what that old phrase already understood. Treating anxiety without considering the gut, or treating digestive disorders without considering stress, increasingly looks like treating half of a single unified system. The line between mental health and digestive health was never as clean as textbooks made it seem. It was a convenient division for specialists, not a reflection of how your body actually operates. So the next time you feel butterflies before something important or an inexplicable heaviness after a rough week, remember what's actually happening beneath the surface. It isn't just nerves. It isn't just imagination. It's 100 million neurons, trillions of bacteria, and 90% of your body's serotonin, all firing signals up a single nerve toward the brain you always assumed was in charge alone. Right now, your stomach is talking to your brain. And the real answer, buried deep inside your cells, is that it might have been talking first all along.